Welcome back, sci-fi fans. Caught Roe eating cookies.
Eating cookies. Yum, yum, yum.
Welcome back to the show. We're going to be talking a little Secret Wars tonight. I keep having to, or Secret Invasion.
Oh, I did the same thing.
That's the mistake I keep making.
I did the same thing.
I keep saying Secret Wars, and I even hesitated that time to make sure I said the right one and still said the wrong one.
That's so funny. I posted just that. I'm like, join us in a couple of minutes. We're going to be talking Secret Wars. I'm like, no, we're not.
Still got a few years for that one.
Yeah.
Especially if they keep the strike up. So we're going to break down. We're going to get into the first. We haven't been around. We've been kind of running different directions. So we're going to get into the first 5 episodes of Secret Invasion tonight. We do have one more guest I need to bring in to the stream. So everybody welcome Nicole.
Worries for another day. Let the music play. Down in Fraggle.
You're live. You're live, Nicole. You're live.
Oh, we're on. Oh, hello, everybody. I got excited. Last night, we were talking about all the future stuff, and Cam had this crazy idea that he gave to Andrew about music and Muppets, and I just been singing Muppet songs, including Fraggle Rock.
As one does.
So
As one does, yeah.
it's contagious.
Now I'm very excited about about getting into the Muppets. Yeah, it's coming up soon. Starting in August, we'll be getting into that.
Absolutely.
I think we ended up with eight episodes, covering different aspects of both the Muppets and other Jim Henson projects and the Creature Shop, which still to this day is still having a major impact.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to jump into Secret Invasion. So just real quick, I kind of want to go around the room and just get general thoughts on where you're at on the series with the finale dropping in just a few hours, really.
Mm-hmm.
So, Ro, what did you? Where are you at on this series right now?
I mean, I'm caught up. I'm, when the first trailer dropped, and I watched that first trailer, I actually thought it was going to be a movie. I was pleasantly surprised when it said, series, and because it had all the telltale signs of, high production value. You had some really great actors in it. I was really, really surprised that it was going to be a series. And when it started, watching the first episode, like I said, I'm caught up. I'm really, really enjoying the series as a whole. There's a couple of things that I'm really enjoying specifically. Obviously, the actors are phenomenal, especially Olivia Brown. She is fantastic in whatever she's cast in. She's a wonderful, wonderful actor, and I'm really enjoying the writing. Obviously, I always poo-poo the idea that people are getting superhero fatigue. But it's kind of refreshing not seeing anybody in spandex lately. So I think I'm really enjoying the seriousness of this story. It really feels kind of like a really nice, cat and mouse drama. So it's when this came out, I coined the phrase. I said this is going to be the Andor of the MCU, and I think so far it has been.
Yeah. What about you, Nicole?
Well, one, he's right. I have to agree. It's becoming like the Andor of the Star. That's all, folks. It's become Andor of
Fraggle Rock has burned your brain.
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe it was just Oppenheimer. I'm not sure. Anyways, no, I'm really enjoying this. Like, to the point, like, I've been watching it with my best friend, Jennifer, for Peace Love Disney. Her and I've been watching it, like, on Wednesday nights together. For me, it's a rewatch because I've watched it already.
Mm-hmm.
But, oh my gosh, so good. And it's surprising me because I was like, okay, Miss Marvel really, really was the bigger surprise of the two. But I'm enjoying the adventure. I'm enjoying the spy thriller. I'm enjoying Olivia Colman. I love her.
She is amazing.
I love her.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
And yes, we're not getting spandex, bro, but we did get a shower scene.
Okay.
But it's been really good. I've been just very excited and waiting for like someone to go, hey, let's talk about this. And I'm like, yes, this is them.
Yes.
Yep. Good opportunity.
Absolutely.
What about you, Marisha?
I'm enjoying it. I'm not finding myself totally riveted by it. It's one that sometimes it's not like I'm trying to convince myself not to stay up until 2 a.m. and watch it when it drops. But I'm enjoying the performances for sure. The performances have all been really phenomenal. So honestly, I think as much as anything, this is one that it's like every time trying to keep track of all the scrolls. And so then it's like, well, this person is actually so like the who is a scroll and how long have they been a scroll? Like it's a lot of work for me to keep up with in my mind. I'm just like, I don't want to have like there's just so many stories. And so like going to like try and analyze everybody's motives and be like, oh, like how long have they been as who it was maybe this person's actually a scroll. It's just like that seems like a lot of things to hash back in my mind and try and make sense of. So I'm not. I'm sort of, I'll get on the internet. I'll be like, how long has Rhodey been a scroll? Moving on, just because it's like, I can't, I don't have the bandwidth to like figure it out, I guess. And honestly, I feel like a little bit for this show, it's been a little more work to keep up with than your typical MCU fare. And so, oh, look, it's a key cat. So that's, I don't know, for some reason in my life, I'm just not up to keeping track of, it feels like a lot to keep up with. So that's really my main gripe with it is just maybe just where I'm at in life and the fact that I'm always tired.
You just want to see guys in spandex.
I mean, no arguments.
I agree.
So I'm really enjoying the show.
I mean,
I'm kind of like Marisha. I feel like it hasn't. There's just something a little off on the pacing that just kind of. I find myself getting distracted by other things sometimes while it's on, and then I'm like, oh, I just missed something. And but it's. I don't mind that it's a little slower, but I feel like I almost feel like they wrote it like a movie. I really almost feel like this was going to be a movie and they kind of stretched it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like time filler kind of in there. A lot of long transition scenes, traveling scenes, and things that they're fine. They look, I mean, it's wonderfully shot. It's the production values are some of the best maybe on any of the MCU shows. The acting is what sets this series apart, though. The acting is absolutely top notch. Maybe one of the best acted, like overall performances in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's killing it. Olivia Colman is
she's my
absolutely
favorite
fantastic
thing about this show.
Ben Mendelsohn is fantastic.
Was
even Sam Jackson, who's not always known for showing a lot of range. I mean, he kind of plays a type.
Yeah.
Is showing more range, and I know some people have reacted adversely. Oh, this isn't the same Nick Fury that we saw before, and it's like, okay, but he's different.
Exactly.
He's changed. Sure. I mean, this
exactly.
Funny thing about trauma is that it does things to people.
Yeah, even the super spy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I feel like a lot of these shows were designed to be movies, and then they brought in people to kind of stretch them out to 6 episodes, 8 episodes. And I still feel like sometimes the MCU, as far as the streaming shows, I think they're still trying to navigate how to structure a longer than 90-minute project, something that's turned into a series. because I mean everything else is there. You know, the cinematics, the
Mhm.
shots, the production value, the acting. But I think, you know, when it comes to the like you said, the pacing, it does seem to be a little stretched.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like in this last episode, there was that, you know, you mentioned the writing scene getting from one place to another. And there was like a lot of talking where you usually don't see that in movies. It's usually like one or two sentences and they cut to the next scene, but
Right.
they were traveling to a place that almost felt like real time. And
Yeah.
then when they got there, they parked and they continued to talk. And it's like, okay, who's going to get out of this car?
Yeah.
Although, like, that being said, the number of times that we've driven somewhere and then sat in the car and finished our conversation,
Sure.
that is kind of like a very adult thing to do, I think.
Yeah, but I think that's one of the reasons I liked Hawkeye so much was
Right.
that it's really the only one that top to bottom feels like a TV show. It feels like it was
Sure.
written that way, and
Yeah.
it flows that way. The others, it feels like they wrote it like a movie and then tried to figure out how to stretch it out.
You know, and
Sure.
I think that's been the case with not just MCU things. I think
No,
that
Star Wars has had the
Right.
same problem.
Exactly.
I think some of the Star Wars shows have suffered from that same thing. So here's kind of it. Here's a question. How much do you think, like, once this strike is over, if the writers get what they're asking for and get more time to spend on these projects, like, do y'all think that that's going to change do you think that's going to have much effect on the quality of the actual, like, writing on these shows?
Over time, I think
Quality would be good. You know, I think that's always the expectations that you always want your product, what you're giving out, to be something really good and satisfying and entertaining, and you should always be achieving that. And maybe that will better help them to get to that, goal and to be more successful.
I hope that it will help, but I think right now when you're not giving writers enough time to write things, it's because a lot of people are out there saying, "Oh, well, these writers are writing terrible stuff. Why should they get more benefits, more time, more, all this?" And it's like, well, okay, so I mean, yeah, streaming, a lot of stuff. I mean, we're watching the top tier streaming stuff. There's a lot of stuff in the streaming world that's just fodder. It's just there to take up space. And if a few hundred people click on it, fine. It's not, it's poorly written, but I think when you're taking all of your writers, good or bad, and you're throwing them all and you're only giving them a few days to write a 6-episode series, it's probably a little hard to distinguish who the really good writers are from the bad writers.
Right.
So yeah,
Maybe
I do
they're
hope
scrolls.
maybe so.
Maybe,
but
so.
I do hope that over time that giving writers more time to work on things
Right.
will not only lead to them writing better things, but giving the really good writers a chance to rise to the top.
Mm-hmm.
And that's hard because, back in the day, writers would write movies and television shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now we have been inundated with streaming services that have, brand new content. So not only are these the same pool of writers writing, trying to write movies and television shows for broadcast, but they're also, stuck in the streaming world. And I don't know what the pool is when it comes to hiring new voices and new writers to come in and kind of, spread the love, being someone that kind of has experienced, corporate broadcast work. It's always like, how can we do more with less? And I think that's what we're seeing. A lot of the times, they are trying to do more with less, whether it's less people or less talent. But I think the people watching these shows, like, I guess folks like us, I mean, we can kind of tell the difference between, something that might be watered down or something that, like, wow, that was really thought-provoking. That was a really thought-provoking story and something that I enjoy and I can watch over and over again. But those projects have not come as often as I think a lot of us fans would like them to come.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we've kind of discussed, it seems like the shows that tend to have the best, most cohesive stories tend to be the ones where producers are also writing. because they've got
Or the director.
or the directors, somebody they're not, somebody at the top is ultimately responsible for making the story the best it can be.
Which is why I think Andor was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny because, I had mentioned to somebody, I forgot somewhere on Twitter, that I remember when directors would just direct and then writers would write.
Mhm.
And now it's, kind of that line has blurred for whatever reason. And I don't know which is better. You're a director, you hire somebody to write the script, write the story, write the screenplay, whatever it is, that starting point. And then you go out and you do the best you can in directing that piece of written script. And now it's like, Ryan Johnson's going to direct something, but he's also going to write it, and then vice versa. I guess it just depends on, the writer, I guess, the writer, director. Obviously, if somebody like Steven Spielberg is going to direct and write, I mean, I would have no problem with that.
Right.
But I'm always on the fence about that concept of having a director write or a producer write. And it's like, okay, stick to your own talent. But I understand that sometimes producers and directors have a certain vision and want to kind of inject their own story into it and their own talent.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, Dave Filoni has historically been a writer, and he kind of has good. I think that doesn't happen just a whole lot, but.
So I guess I should actually mention the chat over here. Megan, thank you for hanging out tonight, and
Yay.
I do see that Ubaldo has joined us.
Scott was here for a second.
Scott was here, but I think Scott left.
Yeah, well, and a quick side note, real quick sidebar to that. Happy anniversary to my co-host of Views and Abuse, because it is their 9th anniversary.
Oh, that's so
nice.
cool.
Very nice.
Congratulations. Yep.
All right, so
time flies when you're having fun.
Kind of back to Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion. And well, sorry.
Well, I mean, we weren't like totally off topic, but coming back around to the show itself. So we were covering 5 episodes, so it's kind of hard to like. You can't really do a scene by scene covering 5 episodes. So let's just go through it and talk about which episodes really jumped out at you as either having an impact on the larger MCU, or even just for this show, like what performances stood out, or what little bits of information that we've learned so far really jump out at you. Nicole, I'll let you start.
Oh, great. Of course, before we mention Olivia Colman, okay? She's boss babe all the way. Anytime she's on, I'm like all for it. I'm trying to remember the name, but the actor who's playing Gravik.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm like, thank you. You're up there. He's getting up there with Umbridge right now. Like, I have a list of characters I love to hate, and he is very quickly on. He's up on it. There's been just so many good things. I think there's just been so many good moments, though. I really like or shocking moments between the shooting of a particular agent, and and then there's these moments that are just like, wait, we thought like Amelia Clark's, Gaia was gone, and then there's just really a lot of really cool moments actually that's sprinkled throughout this whole series so far that make me go, what? How is this happening? And just, I love the fact that I feel like every time I'm turning around, it's like, okay, who's a Skrull, who's not a Skrull?
Yeah,
we're finding out that Nick Fury was married to a Skrull,
right?
And he is Skrull. You know what I mean? There's just all this like wonder, and I like that. I'm like, finally, at least we don't. Okay, you guys. Aren't you guys at least a little excited that you actually don't know what the heck's going to happen for once? Like, for once, I can actually go, I kind of like, I have ideas, but I don't have ideas. Usually I'm like, oh my God, I got so many predictions. This is like the first time around in a while I haven't had like any real good predictions, because I'm
and there's one episode left.
Yeah. They kept
Yeah.
me guessing.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
kudos. I think that's really good too.
Yeah.
I have to mention that. So
I think that first episode really surprised a lot of people. I think the ending of that first episode gave me the idea that basically, that this show is really going to change things. It really has some real consequences.
Mhm.
A lot of the MCU, obviously, we've had characters that die off and then come back in the
Mhm.
next movie or next episode, and it's like, come on already, let's get some real stakes going here. So I think that first episode really represented that this story really means something. It's gearing up to be something really interesting. And I think there were some other cliffhangers, in the subsequent episodes that were really
Mhm.
really great. But I think really that the end of that first episode really kind of set the stage for
Yeah.
seriousness,
Mhm.
stakes, some serious stakes that are involved. But I was talking to somebody, and I think that I had mentioned that maybe that death in the first scene in the first episode might have been a fake out, and we might see that character again later.
I've heard that.
I hope they don't do that, but we'll see.
Yeah. See, Maria Hill was really the odds-on favorite if they ever killed off Nick Fury to fill that role.
Yeah.
Right.
So it is sort of surprising that they chose to kill her off. So I won't be totally shocked if there was a fake out there.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But at the same time, we know Nick's staying around. We have the Marvels coming.
Yeah.
Nick Fury is in the Marvels. So we know he's here for the long run, or at least through another movie.
Yeah.
So, I mean, unless it's a scroll, we don't know. We'll see.
Although, is the Marvels technically, when does it fall timeline wise?
I have a feeling it happens before this series.
I think so because
he's still in space.
Well, and because
when he returns, I guess we're going to find out.
Because it like picks up where Miss Marvel left off.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we were never really. I mean, I don't know that we have the clearest definition of where Miss Marvel fell.
Yeah.
And things have gotten a little jumbled because coming out of all the shutdowns and stuff, where some of these haven't necessarily come out in the order that they were intended.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm a little confused because I believe in the Marvel's trailers that he is wearing the eye patch, which we just saw him put back on.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been wearing the eye patch. So
it's about to go down.
I think that is going to take place after this show. But I'm not totally sure.
Although it does look like he's on Earth. So in there they keep saying, like you finally came back, which would indicate he hasn't been back since.
Yeah.
Guess we're gonna see. It'll be interesting to see how it falls. But they did though drop the trailer this week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just ahead of the finale. So I think that was done on purpose. There's got to be purpose and reason, and kind of see. We'll see where it goes.
But we've killed we killed off Maria Hill and we've killed off Agent Ross. We lost both of them in the first episode.
That's right.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. Like that they killed both of those characters in the first episode.
Right. And we've sort of been left wondering exactly how long Everett Ross has been a Skrull.
Mm-hmm. That does mean though that the real Ross may still be out there somewhere.
Right.
True.
But yeah, it definitely does beg the question. And that was the first minute. I was like, man, now I got to go back and figure out how long he's been a Skrull and what does that mean for all the stuff that came before it. That seems like a lot of work.
And Talos, of course, him being
Yeah.
a Skrull like that. Just
You mentioned it earlier. I'm
real
really
loyalty in a different way.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying Mendelsohn's performance.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, he's just kind of been killing it.
Yeah, he's another one of those actors that you put him in whatever and I'll watch it.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, I mean, we've killed off significant characters, so they were definitely willing to up the stakes here.
Mhm.
And it's going to seem like, of course, like you said, Everett Ross might still be out there, or Everett Ross might have just been a scroll the whole time we've known him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially once you realize that there are scrolls with different motivations, right?
And loyalties.
They're different loyalties. They're not all just the scrolls are all on one side. Just because somebody's been a scroll doesn't mean that we haven't seen them as a scroll. Sometimes, and maybe not as a scroll, other times, like Nick Fury, like we saw that Talos was impersonating Fury at some point. So it's all
Yeah. So clearly this isn't something, so I don't think that we can totally solve the scroll problem in one final episode of this show. Do y'all think that this is a lead in for the Captain America 4 or something else?
Yeah, Captain America 4 is called what?
Brave New World.
Brave New World. They changed it from that to
New World Order.
New
World
Order.
Order.
Yeah, I love that band.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's New Order. Never mind.
Well, we've been introduced to a lot of scrolls in positions of power, so.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this leads into that film. I mean, obviously, Nicole mentioned that we know that Nick Fury goes on to do bigger and greater things, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
How cool would it be to end this series with an appearance by Harrison Ford?
Yeah, that could be fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
Glinda's showing her heart, so I guess that's a good thing. I mean, literally, there's a heart right there. So I guess she wants to see Harrison Ford.
Of course.
What else? What has stood out?
I don't
to
blame
you,
her.
Marsha?
So I had something that I had a little bit of a hard time following in was so they killed Gaia, and then the next episode she wakes up, and I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like obviously I feel like I was supposed to have noticed something there, but I didn't usually I'm pretty good about being like, oh, this and that, like connecting them. But that one kind of threw me because I was like, why is she alive? It kind of but I've really enjoyed Amelia Clark's character. Like I think that she's been an interesting one, kind of walking that line. Her loyalties are conflicted. She's got kind of she's got a lot going on, like as far as where she stands on all of this. And I think that they've done a really good job kind of rounding the characters out.
Yes.
Where you're especially in a spy movie, typically your good people are only so good and your bad people are usually have a point. Or at least, your modern spy stuff anyway. So I think that they've done a good job with that. Kind of making the characters dimension, like they have even giving depth to characters that have historically been pretty one-dimensional, like Nick Fury. We're really kind of delving into like his personal life, which I mean, whoever would have thought of it, Nick Fury as having a personal life.
Right.
So that's been interesting.
And that's the sheer gem of having this kind of stuff as a series rather than a movie, because obviously you can kind of concentrate a little more on character development, on scenes with these characters. So I kudos for them for being able to kind of slide that in, because it does kind of expand a little bit more the understanding of the characters in the overall scheme of things when it comes to thinking about the MCU proper. So that's I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we have seen. So you're talking about people dying and coming back, and we've seen that Gravik has had we've got an Iron Man 3 tie-in. We've never done Iron Man 3 tie-ins, but Gravik has done. It clearly has had the treatments to use Extremis, which was the nanotech that they were trying to perfect in Iron Man 3. So I'm curious to see if we find out that there are other scrolls with that ability.
Yeah. He mentions, being super scrolls, so I'm
Mhm.
sure, you know, I
It's
mean,
just I always kind of wonder though, is he's the only one we've seen with that. And obviously he's trying to create a super scroll army, and
right.
I think that's where we're going to get into the New World Order movie connection probably.
Yeah.
But you kind of also wonder how much of the power he wants to keep for himself.
Well, it's interesting too because they talk about I think Gravik was the one that mentioned in order for us to fight the super powered characters that exist in the world, and we all know who he's talking about. Um, he wanted to have an army of super Skrulls. So
Right.
you would think that, okay, all that is culminating into Captain America 4. So I think this, again, I think that would be a really great segue to the new stuff coming
Yeah.
up.
Mhm. Like, I feel like it is time for the MCU to do something besides the blip was traumatic, which I feel like we have done several movies where the blip was horrible. And it, like
Well, we basically did a whole phase of that.
we did a whole phase of that. And we've now established the blip was rough on everybody. But like that can only be the story for so long,
Right.
Before we have to actually do something else.
Right.
And so I think it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, obviously they're going to be doing some things with Kang. So it'll be interesting to see how much the scrolls play into what's coming next.
Am I the only one that just was not impressed with anything having to do with Kang?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I mean, I
I'm
think that the acting performance, some of the acting performances he's had are fairly strong, but we've seen him twice. He's been defeated twice. So
yeah.
that doesn't seem like when we were setting up Thanos, he was this,
Shadowy,
unbeatable, villain lurking in the shadow, and that we're seeing kind of manipulating everything. And then you get Kang. You're told that he's going to be the biggest villain the MCU's ever seen.
Right.
But we've already seen him defeated twice. So I thought, it's like I don't know, like what to make of that exactly.
And his the actor's legal complications might mess things up a lot.
Yeah.
Going forward. So who knows?
I mean, I thought Jonathan Major's performance was great.
Yeah.
But it's not the most. I don't know that the character's the most interesting.
Right.
I was very excited by King, but I think Andrew has a point when he's going to defeat it twice. I'm almost more like, oh my God, Gravik is kind of terrifying at some point. Sometimes I'm just like, Kingsley is bringing it as Gravik, and I love it. However, I'm also curious though with the scroll behind, Rhodes, who is. I'm hoping I'm going to pronounce this right. It's Rava, Raava, and that's who's impersonating Rhodes. So I'm just kind of curious. In the comics, from what I've read and what I've seen, she is a pirate scroll. So I'm just kind of curious if we'll continue to see her, or if we've already seen her because she's played by the same actress that's also in Eternals, or if we'll see what happens. I'm not like putting all my eggs in a basket just yet. I'm just kind of waiting and seeing. I'm kind of enjoying just like letting things just
simmer.
Season.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's what it's been so far. So
yeah. So where do y'all really think? I mean, so we left off the last episode with Fury making a phone call.
Yes.
Which is something we're prone to see Nick Fury do. We've seen him do, kind of cliffhangers with Nick Fury making a phone call a few times.
Using a beeper.
Yeah. Who do y'all think?
And what was the line? He says it's time to end this.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's Olivia because Olivia was right there with him just now. So
right. I don't think it was Olivia. And he's like, based on things he said,
could be Gaia.
Could be Gaia. I'm not sure. I still don't think she's made a decision whose side she's on.
Whoa,
He called Ghostbusters.
what if Ro is right
I'm over
and it's
here.
Maria Hill?
I think that's a
Maybe.
possibility.
But you know what? There's another another couple of people that have been really active in the rumor mill. Some folks that that follow us. Somebody had mentioned that maybe they might be able to bring in some of the television characters of Agents of
The
Shield.
Shield, yep.
That's a good possibility.
You know, Quake is
Mhm.
a
Daisy
possibility.
Johnson, yeah.
You know, so I think that would really cool actually to bring in some of the TV actors from
That would
Agents
be
of
cool.
Shield,
Agreed.
to
That
bringing
would be
them in and kind of, you know, help them out. Maybe
Bring in the cavalry.
yeah,
I'm there for that.
yeah. I mean, you know, she's still under contract, I'm sure. Ming
Yes.
Na. So
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see some of those people come back. And I said, I mean, even going back to Endgame, I've said pretty repeatedly that the actress Chloe Bennett as
Yeah.
Quake earned a shot at
Sure.
moving that character over to
Cinema.
to
Yeah.
the MCU proper.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so I would love to see that. I'd love to see Coulson back.
Yeah.
You know, there's
Yeah.
it would be really cool if he still had this, you know, if Nick Fury still got a network of
Connection.
spies that aren't
Right.
Skrulls out there. You know,
Yeah.
that would be fantastic. And I kind
And
of think that it's going to be somebody more of the spy type than a
Yeah.
hero, you know, because he's already said he doesn't want to bring in the Avengers because, you know, he mentioned not wanting to get the heroes tangled up with the Skrulls, and next thing you know, the Skrulls are getting the heroes framed
tangled
as
up with them.
terrorists.
Right.
Mhm.
Although, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me though if we got a credit or a post-credit scene that also, again, if it's possible, if they connect it to the Marvels. We'll see.
Mhm.
We'll see. Because technically Captain Marvel is already in with the Skrulls too, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
I do get the impression though that maybe part of the other reason he doesn't want the heroes involved is because the Skrulls are after his secret stash of hero DNA. I don't imagine they'd be
Yeah.
super
Well,
Yeah.
that's
thrilled about
that's
that.
something I want
And
to
there
talk
was a
about too.
line, yeah, and there was a line there too that Fury basically said, you know, I don't want to involve anybody. This was my thing. Like this was my fight or something like that. I was responsible. So he wanted to kind of, you know, take care of things his own way. And you know, making that phone call, I think, really goes along with that. You know, that idea of you know, these are going to have to be my people that I trust. And Mersha would be
Right.
fantastic, really, if he did have his, you know, still had his network of spies. And the, you know, the real fake out would be that you know, he made people, you know, believe that Nick Fury was kind of on the out, but he's really, you know, nowhere near on the out,
You know,
and he still has control.
I have to say, this is where I think we were mentioning earlier about all the amazing acting, and people. I think it was Andrew who had mentioned people going, "Oh, you know, the change in Nick Fury and yada yada yada." Exactly, because we're seeing the range that Samuel L. Jackson does actually have, and he's playing He's playing this character as if again he's washed up or he's this and that. And I'm like going, "No, he's not. He's got to be playing. He's got to be playing
Yeah,
us.
totally.
He's playing." He's doing
Yeah.
his thing, and I love it. I love the fact that we're seeing his range, and I love the fact that he's again coming in a different way, in another way.
Yeah.
Maybe we weren't prepared for, and I'm
Right.
okay with that. Like,
And I do think that has been seriously affected by the blip. That's why he hadn't been back to Earth. We're going to get into something here in just a second that Ro just mentioned that is a huge character shift for Nick Fury. That's really not even, it's before this show. We didn't see it happen. But if you watch, he's almost showing different aspects of how he is to different people. You
He's
know,
a master manipulator. He only shows everybody what he wants them to see.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I get the impression that the Fury that you see with Talos is Nick Fury. That's who he is right now.
Yeah, that
Right.
relationship in this series, that relationship really has opened up a possibility, I guess, really more so for the audience to kind of see Nick Fury in a different light. I think that's a real friendship. I think that's a real, worthy relationship between the two characters. And I think I think it's fantastic. I think you're right. I think that Nick Fury really is the real Nick Fury.
Yeah. And then
Um,
when you see him with Sonya Fallsworth, he's a little bit more the old Nick Fury.
yeah.
He's a little more walls up
Yep.
Mhm.
because she's dangerous, and
Yeah.
he's told us that. He said, I'm going to give you a chance to get this straight. She's just going to kill people,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and we've seen her do
And
it.
be very polite
She's-
about it.
Yes. Yes.
I'm going to say,
And-
very polite things before I shoot you in the head.
Cake or death?
Right.
Cake, please.
Yeah.
But one of the big things I wanted to get into, unless anybody had any other theories on Nick Fury's phone call, I don't really have anything.
Yeah.
I have no idea what
Waldo's
to
got a
expect.
theory.
You guys don't think it could be? He wouldn't call Priscilla. I mean, and we haven't even talked about Priscilla yet because
Mm,
that
yeah.
was a new addition to
Oops.
everything, and the surprise of
Mm-hmm.
he's married. Oh, she's
Yeah.
scroll. Oh, she's talking to the roadie. Roadie.
Yeah. Nick Fury being married is a huge twist.
Right.
Yeah.
It subverted my expectation.
I'm sure it did.
Did your flirkin run away, Nicole?
My flirkin is right here next to me. I'm surprised. Usually it's Alphabet, but unless it's Friday nights, maybe she just misses it. Maybe Sorceress Glenda just misses.
Oh,
being here with all of us.
backyard. Nick has
Yep.
Nick has a wonderful theory.
Oh, there we go. That's a possibility.
That would be wicked.
But see, but then I have a problem with that, and here's why. Okay,
Tell me.
you would think it would happen maybe with WandaVision or Agatha House of Harkness, because Agatha House of Harkness, Agatha was the governess to the children of Fantastic Four,
Hmm.
and I'm like, dang it, that's gonna be another thing they're messing up. But they're trying to put Wanda with Loki, and I'm not okay with that. It is what it is. I will stick with my 1980s Wanda and Vision.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Just
the
the
comic-
right-
Oh,
yeah,
in the
this
comics.
yeah.
Okay. I was like,
Okay,
wait,
I'm like,
what did I
okay,
miss?
this part.
Okay.
They're trying to put Wanda and Loki together in the comic books. I'm like, no, we're not shipping that here. Not this girl.
No.
You've
I mean,
confused, you also confused Megan in the chat.
I'll send you information later, Megan, about Loki.
So one of the big things Ro mentioned a minute ago that I want to talk about though is the DNA of all the heroes that fought at the Battle of Earth. I also that's a really interesting. Just the fact we're calling it the Battle of Earth means that that's a universal thing throughout the galaxy, that it's being referred to as the Battle of Earth. Because if it, we wouldn't have, if it was just Earth, we wouldn't have called it the Battle of Earth, because we'd have called it something else. But the Battle of Upstate New York or wherever they were. But the first thing Nick Fury does, returns from the blip, doesn't come to fight. The first thing he does is finds his Skrull network and sends them to gather DNA from the battlefield. Is this Nick Fury losing his faith in superheroes?
Hmm.
Or is
I-
this a scroll
Like this,
impersonating?
the blip, the fact that the heroes failed.
Or
Has-
is this? I'm sorry. Or I'm sorry. Go ahead, Andrew.
I was just saying, just the fact that the first thing he does is comes and starts a contingency plan. Is it, did he lose faith in the heroes because they lost?
Could be. Or it. This also reminds me of what Batman does. He's not a superhero per se, but he's got something on all the superpowered people. that will allow him to exploit, any of those pieces of evidence or
Mhm.
or the tools that he has collected against, the superpowered people
Mhm.
in the DC world. So it could be kind of an insurance policy to be able to, I don't know, incapacitate any of these super beings, or.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, is it an overall contingency plan to kind of you know
Well, I think
wipe
there was
them
a
out,
comment.
almost like an Order 66 situation?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Now, I do think I seem to recall a comment from one of the movies where someone says something about Nick Fury's contingencies having contingencies. So,
Yeah.
maybe that's all it is, but it's, we don't see Nick Fury at the battle. And the first thing we learned that he did after he came back is start gathering the DNA of the heroes.
Which to me, tells me that he also, not unlike Palpatine, is in it for the long game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And this series, like Nicole was saying, it shows Nick Fury almost downtrodden, and he's kind of on the way out. But I think that is probably the biggest fake out that we're getting, because he's probably more in control than ever before,
Yeah.
maybe at this point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Obviously he was aware of the whole Skrull situation. I mean, he married one,
Mhm.
Mhm.
so it's not like they surprised him about it.
It's interesting the fact, because they showed us that he was married to a Skrull not long after he has a conversation. Well, one, he has the conversation with Rhodey, that's kind of talking about well, he has a couple of conversations in this show about the way things were for black people when he was a
Mhm.
kid,
Mm-hmm.
in the racism that he lived through. And then there's not basically tells somebody, maybe his wife, that there's not enough room in this
Talos,
world. Is
I think.
Talos, for there's enough hatred in this world without throwing a third party in the mix. And um it's and so we kind of get this impression, and then we see him almost act like the Skrulls. Like, there's a couple of scenes where I think he almost acts like he feels like he's better than the Skrulls.
Mm,
But then we turn around and find out that he's married to a Skrull.
yeah.
And it's a very complex, where it just kind of keeps you turning and going. Nick Fury is, we've definitely opened up a lot of doors, but the man is still a mystery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
It is nice because it gives you a lot of layers, not only to his character, but I guess the overall situation that Earth finds itself in
Mhm.
Yeah.
at this point in the story. So I think that's cool.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is definitely Nick Fury's show. Like,
Mhm.
we have a lot of really strong supporting cast, but it is Nick Fury's show. This was
most definitely.
Nick Fury's solo project. And
His solo
I
album.
yeah, I just absolutely don't know what to expect from the finale, because
Same.
I think we'll see some resolution, but again, I think that Nick mentioned Super Skrulls are kind of a Fantastic Four villain. Fantastic Four is coming.
Yeah.
New World Order is coming. There's several things coming up where you kind of go, okay, they're going to win, but I mean, Talos already told us there's like 1 million Skrulls on Earth now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I appreciated how pissed off he was that something was that the master manipulator that somebody pulled something over on him. He was like, "What do you mean there's 1 million of them?" He was and it was just exactly how those people who keep lots of secrets. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Could be.
That's
I mean, people get married for green cards all the time. It's kind
Yeah.
of the same thing, no?
mhm. I mean, it's a little what's the word I'm looking for?
Don't know.
Cold. It's a little cold. I
Yeah.
have a
but
headache.
that's Nick
My
Fury.
words only kind of work
But
today.
you know what though? I don't It might have been cold at the beginning if that were a marriage of convenience or utility. But I think the show has made it a good point of kind of pointing out that the relationship kind of grew. If it
Yeah.
started that way, it definitely
Mhm.
changed. I mean, the last final scenes with them together were pretty nice and warm between the two characters. And obviously, they were pointing guns at each other and decided not to shoot. So I think,
Right.
for me, that kind of nails that down as far as,
Mhm.
they care for each other at some,
Right.
to some degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They definitely cared about each other to some degree. I agree with that. And respect, because like you
Mhm.
said, those guns did not, they
Yeah.
went right past each other, and they had every opportunity, didn't take it.
And
Yeah.
honestly, the inside information thing, based on what we know about her now, could have cut both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that would lend another layer of complexity to the relationship and to the series, really.
Mhm.
I know it's not everyone's cup of tea, but do you guys feel that it would have been received better if all the episodes were dropped at the same time, or too much of a slow boil for a lot of normies? Or
So I think that for better or worse, the MCU attracts a certain type of fan, largely that likes the action, likes the story moving forward at a breakneck pace, and
Mhm.
spandex,
yeah, spandex. So
Muscles.
right?
yeah, I mean, I understand why they're not dropping them all at once. Again, I think this goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of the episode. Is if they could figure out the pacing thing, then I think it would be okay. But I think because of the pacing of this show, yeah, I think the general audience, because I've gotten more into it as it builds more and more,
Mhm.
I get more and more invested because there's just so many layers to it. And
Right.
we're down to the last episode and we still don't understand what a lot of those things um you know a lot of those layers haven't been uncovered yet.
Mhm.
Right. It's kept us guessing.
And so yeah, I think that I do think that it probably would have done better if they just dropped it all at once.
Yeah, I
But
think
I
so.
think that that's as much of a pacing issue as anything, because you've got Jack Ryan, same type of show.
Right.
If you want to talk about the modern kind of um, especially along the lines of military mystery, Tom Clancy was the greatest. I mean, he's um, Tom Clancy wrote countless books, wrote the Jack Ryan books, which have been made into a successful movie series and now a pretty successful TV series.
Mhm.
And they do the spy thing really, really well. Ro, you said you hadn't watched that, right?
No, I have not.
If you like this and you like Andor, you really need to check out the Jack Ryan series.
Yeah.
But I think
enjoyed it.
overall, I think it's the same type of thing, but I think that they got the pacing a little better, and so it doesn't feel like I'm ready to watch it when it comes out. And
Sure.
this one I'm excited that it's coming, but I don't necessarily hadn't just run to the TV to watch them as they've come out.
Mhm.
I usually stay up until 2 a.m. to watch a lot of these things, and I haven't done that with any episodes of this show. And but for the first time after the end of last week's episode, I'm excited enough about the one dropping in a few hours that I'm probably going to stay up and watch it.
Mm,
Mhm.
cool. Yeah.
So yeah, to answer to shorten the answer, yes, I think that it would have done better with the general Marvel audience if they had just given it all to us up front.
Yeah.
I feel like the first thing that they dropped was WandaVision. And it generated so much, especially those first few episodes of WandaVision generated so much buzz and so many theories and so much conversation. They have not effectively recaptured that in anything else that they've done.
Some of them have been pretty big, but no, not to that extent. But I
Yeah.
also feel like I kind of wonder if this show I don't know. It's just things have just seemed kind of weird. It just feels like this show got no buzz.
And it should
Right.
be.
From the first trailer that I mentioned at the top of the show to the actual drop of the show, when it dropped, I even forgot it was coming because there was
Mhm.
nothing in between.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, that happened. And of course, everything, the buzz for the last several weeks has been all Barbie and all Oppenheimer.
Mhm.
And I wonder if this show got lost a little bit in that buzz somewhere. I don't know, but it just, for a show with this cast to just get lost in the mix
Yeah.
like this is,
It's got to be some other.
I think it's a marketing issue. There's got to be
Yeah.
something within marketing.
well, I do feel like they pulled the marketing back, and we
Right.
discussed that on the show. Maybe actually the show that's going to drop tomorrow on the audio podcast, that we discussed the really, really bloated budgets
Right.
with the
Yeah.
Marvel
Mhm.
projects. Everybody's got really bloated budgets right now, but Marvel's are out of control. They've got to do something. They're spending movie money on these TV shows that
They're not making movie
that
money
we
back
don't
on
really
them.
know. There's not really a great quantifiable way
To track.
to track what how much money you made just because of that show.
Mhm.
I even feel like this was a show that didn't even necessarily have to have the kind of budget it did.
And
Except
there's
for they
not
have
a
an expensive cast.
Yeah, it's
It
got
is
an
an
expensive
expensive cast.
cast, and it's not like I said. There's not a lot of superhero battles where you have to spend a boatload of money.
Yeah.
I'm just-
Other
on
than
it.
the Skrulls themselves, there's not a ton of CGI work needed.
Right.
I'm wondering why they chose not to market this in a better way. Why did their marketing drop the ball, or why didn't they let
How much marketing have they done for the other shows, really?
Some of them
You
they
know-
did a lot. Like WandaVision was everywhere.
and I think it's because that was the first one out of the out
Yeah.
of the garage there.
I mean, that
So-
was really that was basically right at launch for Disney Plus, right?
Right.
That and The Mandalorian.
Right. And a show like Moon Knight, where not a lot of people are familiar with it. I don't remember a lot of marketing for that either. What else?
Yeah, but this one deserved it, especially like big names like Olivia Colman.
I didn't feel like I didn't feel like I saw any advertisements for Hawkeye before it came out.
Yeah, and who knows? I mean, maybe that was a directive from the top. Obviously, people that have already subscribed to Disney Plus are
Mhm.
already going to watch it, or it'll be available to them.
Yeah.
I did see some billboards, but not for these shows, not a lot. I mean, the biggest thing, like you said, was WandaVision, Mandalorian, and not
Maybe
a lot
there's-
for anything else.
Maybe it's possible that Scrolls took over Disney
The
Plus or
marketing,
something,
yeah, that
because,
would have
like,
Well,
explained
it's-
everything.
I got nothing.
It's possible that I'm just not watching where the marketing is happening. We don't have cable or satellite, so I'm not watching the networks. I'm watching stuff on Hulu as it
Mhm.
comes out a day or two later. But
YouTube.
so I don't know if they're advertising. Disney's got ABC, the Disney Channel, FX,
Yeah,
and
ESPN.
ESPN, several other channels. Maybe they're advertising over there, and I'm just not
Could be.
seeing it.
Yeah, and I do see. I mean, now that they've got spots on Twitter that are like airing all over the place. The Mandalorian only on Disney Plus. So I think I did see some of that stuff on Instagram. But actually, you're right. I mean, I the other day I turned on my cable box for the first time in years, and I'm like flipping through channels. I'm like, people actually had to wait Thursdays at 7:00 to watch something. Wow, this sounds so weird.
But that's what we have to do right now every week, except that we get at 2 a.m. versus 7 p.m.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, my poor kids, they don't understand. Like, we go to Andrew's grandmother has satellite, and they're like, "What? Why are there so many commercials?"
Right. It's too funny.
Yeah, they just don't like. We want to watch so and so. Well, you can't watch that. It's not on right now. They're like,
What do you
"We'll
mean it's not
find
on?"
it."
I know.
It's
really.
like, they don't understand. What do you mean it's not on right now?
This is what television really is.
Yeah. Yeah, Nick, I don't know what the story with this show is, but it does seem like something was missed in the marketing, and I don't
Yeah.
know if at this point if it's just Disney just
Cutting
skimping, but
budgets.
just
Yeah.
cutting budgets or
Yeah, but
or
you
what.
don't take a big name cast like this and just throw it away.
Well, that's
Like,
the other side of this. It's
yeah,
Sam
like,
Jackson. It
yeah.
should have advertised itself.
Yeah.
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 And like I said, I was super excited when I saw the
Mhm.
very first trailer. I thought it was a
Oh,
movie.
I've
I'm like,
been
oh my
I've been
God.
excited about this show, but
Yeah.
it really snuck up on me because there was
Yeah.
so little
Mhm.
so little advertising.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let me ask you this about the superhero DNA or whatever.
Mhm.
So is everyone's DNA in that one little vial?
I had the same thought.
Yeah, I wasn't sure.
Or does he have separate vials hidden in separate dead people's tombstones?
Possibly. Decoys.
Yeah.
Seems more likely.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, the way that because I had the same thought, I was like, unless, I mean, I guess if it's small, there could be like subdivisions in that tiny vial. I mean, DNA, I guess, isn't very big. It could
Right.
just be like hairs or something. And also, how do they know whose was whose?
Right.
Whose
Nothing's
DNA was whose?
labeled, no control factor. That laboratory technician's got to be fired, man.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that. I mean, obviously, I think the Super Scrolls are going to happen, so it's
Yeah.
gonna be interesting to see if it's because of this or if they find another way. But
Mhm.
I mean, also it may just be that they don't get these were our prime heroes. I mean, obviously, he's already got Groot's DNA,
Mhm.
so there's some of the DNA they've already managed to get.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But does anybody have what?
How does that work though? He's a tree. Like, how do you get
Well, he's
tree
not. I mean, he's
powers?
he's a sentient being.
Yeah, but he's not like a human.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't
it just
know.
doesn't
I
seem
don't know.
like
I
it
mean,
doesn't.
plants have DNA.
I know, but it doesn't like how do you integrate that with people DNA? That seems like a lot of work. It does
Poison
not
ivy.
seem like the most
Seems
easy.
like a lot of work.
Poison ivy from the other
Mer-
side.
Mercer's,
True.
Mercer's always so pragmatic.
He's
How does it work?
Marisha's like, I've got enough on my plate.
I know. I don't want to figure out how to put plant DNA and human DNA. Calm down. Back off, Marisha.
But what my thought was, that doesn't
There you
seem
go.
like the
You know what?
easiest.
And
Huh?
that looks like it fits in each of those little
Yeah, it
compartments.
does.
Yeah.
So yeah, when he gets them all together, he's going to stick them in a Barbasol container.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense. No, but that doesn't seem like the easiest one to integrate with human DNA.
Well,
I'm
but he's not
saying
human either.
from a logical. Well, that's true, but even so, it seems like very different kind of, like whatever.
I don't know.
It breaks down logically for me.
So,
Just saying.
question for you guys: how do you guys feel about Gravik? Do you think we're going to? Do you think tomorrow's his last day?
He's going to
last
be
day on the
redeemed.
job? Or do you
No,
really, guys,
God, no.
personally want to like keep Gravik around a little bit longer because Kingsley's killing it at Gravik. I love
Mhm.
Gravik. I
I-
love to hate him, so I'm
Mhm.
kind of like torn. Like I want him out and done, and taken down like Thanos. And then part of me wants to know I want to keep him around, kind of like Thanos, a
Mhm.
little bit longer because I really love to hate this character.
Mhm.
Yeah, I got really confused when I looked up his name at the top of the show when you were trying to remember the actor's name,
Kingsley, yeah.
and it's Kingsley Benadir.
Benedict.
So we
Sir
already have
Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley, and now
Right.
we've got Kingsley Ben Adir.
Yeah.
Just to make it
Just
more
don't knight him. That'll
Right.
really confuse everybody.
Yeah.
interesting.
What do you think about Nicole's question?
What was your question?
I'm sorry, I was distracted by the whole Ben Kingsley conversation.
Okay,
Sorry.
the
Repeat
question
the question.
is do you guys think tomorrow is the last day we'll
Oh,
see Gravik?
Oh,
Right,
or do you secretly kind of want him to stay around a little bit longer because you really like this character and you want to see him become a bigger bad? And
honestly, I think they keep him around for a minute, if for nothing else, because things are kind of up in the air with the whole. God, I'm sorry, my headache is
Not
getting
majors.
worse, and
Kang,
the whole Kang issue.
got
Yeah,
you.
I
sure.
think as until that gets resolved, I don't think they want to go off killing any of their formidable villains
Just
that
yet.
they
Yeah.
might need. That's just, again, me being pragmatic. That's where I think this goes.
So I think that he was a character written for this show. And if they do decide to keep him around, if they rewrote something at the end to keep him, I think what we'll find out if he survives this show is that they changed the ending. Because I do think that he was written for this show, and I don't think there was any inherent value in the character going forward, except for the fact that he's just been so good in the role.
Mhm.
Yes. Absolutely.
Like I don't think that character is particularly that important. It's just that he's killing it. So yeah, why not keep him around?
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Nicholas.
Although they could kill him, they could kill Gravik and have someone else put on that appearance later.
True. Yeah, another scroll.
So
Um,
they'll. I do think they will find some way to bring him back.
Yeah. So also at some point, it seems like he would get on pretty well with the Flag Smashers. Like, especially if we think that he's
Right.
if this is all gonna come up in the next Captain America movie, it seems like
Maybe, except I don't think he wants anything to do with humans.
that's true.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I think they're done. I think
What
the bigger threat is going to be the
Wait,
Skrulls and the Super
what
Skrull.
if Val shows up tomorrow
Mm,
and we know that Bucky and all she's creating this whole other thing?
Yeah.
She's creating this.
that could be his
Other
phone
group.
call.
What
Yeah.
if? Holy cow! I finally have it's my first prediction, you guys. It could happen. It's not a prediction. It's a thought. It's a theory. It's my first one. of the
That's
whole
your first
season.
head canon, huh?
My first one all season. It's crazy because it hasn't happened this whole season, but you never know. We have seen Val just turn up.
Well,
Mhm.
she's kind of been the anti Nick Fury as
Exactly.
far as showing up and building her team. The only
Yeah.
thing there, of course, this show was probably finished before this happened, but the Thunderbolts movie is kind of up in the air and may or may not happen. So I it may depend on how that goes. I'm not sure. I kind of feel like with them trying to find places to trim the budget, they indefinitely postponed that movie. Now it may just be that when the strike's over, they come right back to it. It may have been an indefinite because they don't know when they're coming back.
You're kind of hurting my heart here now on my possible prediction here, Andrew. I don't know how I feel about that.
Honestly, though, even if they wind up not making a Thunderbolts movie, I think that she shows back up just because she's interesting.
Yeah.
She's an
That's true.
interesting kind of.
Well, I
you
think
know-
there's a chance we see a lot of those people in New World Order as
Well,
well.
and here's the other thing. If her husband really died in the first episode of the series, wouldn't you think that Val eventually would also just show up?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That means she's been married to a Skrull too the whole time. The whole time. Think about that.
Yep.
Yeah. There's several characters. I'm really curious what's gonna happen with Gravik, Fury. I'm really Fallsworth. I want to know more about her story. Olivia Colman is such a good actress. Like I would have no issue with them coming back and telling her story at some point.
Oh my
Mhm.
God. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Boss babe. All the way. Love her.
Yeah. She's so funny, even when she's scary as hell.
Mhm.
She's just a delight to just watch in all her scenes.
Remember, she can be your guys' best friend or not your best friend.
Yep.
Choose wisely.
Yep. That was great.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. I know we've kind of been all over the place, but like I said at the top, it's kind of hard to cover 5 episodes of a
Mhm.
series in an hour. But everybody excited for the finale tomorrow?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm
So,
gonna get my beauty sleep though. I'll watch it in the morning.
Mhm.
See, I got a house with too many people in it that are trying that
Mhm.
the current guests are waiting for their mother to come back from out of town to watch it, and so I can't watch it in front of them, and
Oh, I
know,
thought we were
so-
complaining about how late current guests kept some of us up last night.
Oh no, I was up past them, so I didn't care.
Okay.
Yeah, the girls were like, I kept
Oh,
saying,
that's
"Be
right.
quiet! I'm trying to sleep." In the next room, and they'd say, "Okay." Teenagers.
All right. Well, anybody have any
Tell me about it.
anybody have any final thoughts before we log off for the night?
I'm saddened that Nick Backyard TARDIS is not really jiving with the show.
Yeah.
It's like I said, great performances, really interesting to watch and unravel. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. Hopefully, hopefully you do a rewatch, Nick. But if not, I'll let you know how the ending is in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen's DM chat. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm
Spill the beans, Nicole. I spilled the beans.
About that. Anyways, I'm like you, Baldo. I'm pumped. I'm ready. Got my popcorn already prepared for tomorrow night. Well, have some in the morning, but I'm excited. Can't wait to see it again. Amazing casting this season. It's just been wonderful, and I cannot wait to see what happens. Again, I only had my first prediction and theory until Andrew squashed it tonight.
No.
But
well, like I said, the Thunderbolts very well could show up in New World Order. So
we'll just see. It's just so. Again, this is the first time around where every week I've been like, "Oh my god, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Oh my, what's happening? I don't even know what's gonna happen because anything could happen. You don't who and it's so real life. Like, who can you trust? What you're reading or what you're watching? Is it something that's real? Is it trustworthy? Is it does it have integrity? And there's just so much. And maybe that's another reason why people are like maybe not fully into this because they are like, wait, this is like way too close to like
Real life.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, but I love it. I'm enjoying it, and I'm surprised that I'm enjoying it. I really didn't know what I was expecting. My bestie would tell you, like, I loved WandaVision. I'm a sitcom girl, but this has not been a sitcom, and I'm like, ooh, the whole time. So
Yeah.
see, I'm excited for tomorrow.
Awesome.
yeah. So for me, I'm really excited about it. This show has been like Andor for me in a lot of ways. I mean, obviously, it's not. Andor was what 12 episodes.
Shorter episodes, though.
Took me a little while to
Right.
get into Andor, but by the time I got into it, I was really, really excited. And the last two episodes are just some of the best, not just some of the best Star Wars lately, it's some of the best TV lately. The last two episodes are phenomenal. And so I'm hoping that tomorrow's episode leaves me going, just doing nothing but singing the praises of this, because that's what happened for Andor. The last 5 episodes of it are so good that I didn't care anymore, that it took me a little while to get into it. So I really hope that I feel the same way about this show after tomorrow's episode.
Yeah. Actually, I'd be kind of curious to see if the people who really loved Andor have been more into this show. Because that's kind of the
okay.
like the people who Andor was kind of their favorite thing that's been out lately. Also, this has kind of been more if there's a correlation there with other people besides Ro.
Put up a poll, Andrew.
But I
Put up a poll.
I'll do that.
watch a variety of different fandoms, so it's for me. It's like, I mean, I just watched Sweet Magnolias last week, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Totally a different fandom, different genre, different everything, and I'm like,
yeah.
I just like so many different things. I like I like to escape into different worlds. So
Yeah.
Awesome. Marisha, do you have any final thoughts?
I have a headache. And so I'm thinked out. I have said all of my words.
You want a cookie? Want a cookie?
I got Kit Kats.
She can't. She's allergic.
This time.
True. I'm gluten intolerant. Gluten gives me headaches, ironically enough.
All right. So that's going to wrap us up for this episode. Stay tuned. Sometime over the next few days, we will be doing a talk about the finale. Y'all are welcome to come back for that if you'd like to.
Absolutely.
So I'll let y'all know when we're
Heck
gonna try to do that or get with y'all about scheduling it. So let's go around the table real quick and let everybody tell what you got going on and where people can find you. Nicole, I'll let you start.
Oh, well, I am 1/3 of Used and Abused. That's also part of the Red 5 network. And we're, of course, on Twitter and Instagram, BioLink /Red5 and Used Abuse. I'm Nicole, so you can find me on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter at Peace Love Fandoms, as well as one half of Peace Love Disney on Facebook. We have a page. It's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Check it out.
All right, Ro, what about you?
Well, I think in about an hour, I'm going to be recording with a new friend, a new,
Ooh.
he's not a new follower, but we started talking about the original Planet of the Apes. So we're going to be
Nice.
recording an episode on
That's a
the
good one.
Planet of the Apes. He's got some really, really in-depth notes. So I'm looking forward to that tonight. So we'll be doing that tonight. I'm not sure if I'm
Awesome.
going to go live on Saturday for our Scarif Lives. Been trying to get Brian Sipe back on Scarif Live. We're going to talk just about like what movies he loves, what fandoms he's into, and obviously, you know, he is one of the guys that worked on Book of Boba Fett and Ahsoka, award-winning makeup artist. But we're gonna talk like two nerds, two fans that love movies, and see what conversation we get into. So that is scheduled sometime in August. But yeah, you know, just living the dream, one sci-fi interview at a time here on Twitter and at Scarif Podcast. Make sure that you follow us, subscribe to our show. And absolutely, if you're listening to after we go live, make sure that you subscribe to the Science Fictionary on YouTube and their channel, our wonderful part of the Red 5 network. You see the link below.
Yay.
Use
There it
it and peruse it.
It's a thing to do.
Yep. All right, Marisha, what about you? Where can people find you?
No, I don't like the internet.
I know, but
You can find me occasionally, Princesses and Padawans. Princesses _ Padawans on Instagram, and I'm Pete Padawans on Twitter.
awesome. So you can find me running the Twitter account for this show at sci_fictionary. You can find both of our audio podcasts, the Science Fictionary podcast and Coruscant Radio Underground, anywhere that you listen to podcasts. You can, of course, find all of our podcasts here. All three shows represented here are part of the Red 5 Network family of podcasts. So bio.link /Red5. Check it out. There's shows there for everyone. So that's going to do it. So until next time, guys, may the force be with you.
Feel better, Marisha.
This podcast is a member of the Red 5 Network. For more Red 5 Network podcasts and content creators, visit bio.link /Red5.